Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm Morik.
And I am Lover's Lens. Today, we're bringing you something a little weird, a little wild, and wildly heroic. Today, as a guest, we have the developer of Herotome, an urban fantasy visual novel where superheroes have to pay rent and survive emotional chaos. Wudge, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Before we get into the game itself, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as a developer?
About me. Let's see. Well, I guess I'm indie to the core. I taught myself a lot. I got into game development a little later in life. I'm in my 30s. And in that time, I've had a lot of time to practice drawing and writing on the side. And when I decided I was interested in game design, I, of course, as most game developers, we take inspiration from playing video games first. And then we move on to, I want to do this, I want to do that in my own version. So I already knew how to write and draw, so I just picked up programming as well, some really basic rudimentary code. RenPy is not complicated. And I've just kind of been learning more and more as I go. Yeah, every day is a learning experience, but the more I develop the game, the more confident I feel about like adding this and that. So as the game has progressed, it is getting increasingly it's increasingly featuring more things as I'm sure we'll get to by the end.
So you're a solo dev?
For the most part, yeah. I do hire out some things that I don't have time for or that I'm not qualified to do myself. For example, the CG artwork and the final sprite coloring is done by my friend Remnentation. And I've known Rem for a long time now, actually, through this game, but I pay her for every piece of work that she does. I don't take any volunteer work.
I'm very curious, what do you find the hardest part of development?
The hardest part of development? I think writing, because I'm unfortunately a very ambitious writer, and I like having a lot of different dialogue choices that feel personalized and represent what the player might be thinking at each given moment. And like I had to cap myself at 5 choices at a time, but I try to do like a minimum of 3. So I have to write a lot because of that prerequisite. And I write a lot by myself.
So you scope creep a bit out of creativity.
A bit. I'll admit Herotome is very much a scope creep game, and it's because it's sort of my personal project, you know what I mean? I kind of allow that for it. But I do try to limit it in certain ways. Like I allow scope creep as long as it's making me happy, if that makes sense.
So writing is both the hardest part, but maybe also the most fun part for you.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not fun
it's
at
not
all.
Fun. It's fun for me to play. It's not fun for me to do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Considering the fact that you're a solo dev and you do everything by yourself, tell me, is Herotome your first game, or it's a combination of a lot of trial and error and experience?
It's my first game concept. I did actually make a different practice game for a game jam, and I've since taken some freelance work for other people's games. I've completed a few projects that way, but Herotome is my, it's my thing, my baby, that I would like to have as my first completed solo dev game, yes.
So you started developing Herotome in 2017, right?
Yes.
It's quite a lot of time.
A million years ago.
How does it feel now it's actually out for the public to see.
That feels like a long time ago too. The super demo released in 2023 or 2022, one of those. And I guess I was relieved that people seem to like it okay. But generally, I just keep my head down and try to keep focusing on making more content going forward rather than spending too much time with the super demo that's already public. It's sort of like on to the next thing.
Okay. For those unfamiliar with the game, can you give us a spoiler-free intro of the world of Herotome?
Sure. The main protagonist is unemployed, goes to a job fair where things go very wrong. There is an attempted kidnapping and a terrorist attack. But the protagonist shows some heroism in that moment and thus is recruited to a superhero agency.
So it's quite interesting setting. We're in Rhineway, a dystopian city full of class conflict, gentrification, and government-backed superheroes, right? So
yes,
there's a blend of gritty realism and superhero satire, and it feels so fresh in the Otome field. Can you please tell me what inspired the setting?
Batman the Animated Series and Justice League 2000.
Good choices.
Thank you. I grew up on those. Seeing what was being done with superheroes now actually felt really unfamiliar to me. Well, I say now, I mean more in 2017 when I came up with the idea. But I guess now too. I almost feel like the superhero movies are almost moving back to that 90s, early 2000s way of dealing with the media. But generally, that's where I've taken my inspiration from, and also just what I enjoy playing in other video games, such as Disco Elysium. And games like The Bard's Tale, where the protagonist does talk back sometimes, depending on your choices.
You mentioned Batman, and I must ask you, do you like Marvel as well, or it's only DC?
I'm neutral on Marvel, but it's in large part because I didn't grow up with it the way I did with DC cartoons. In the country that I lived in, it was very heavy on DC. I didn't have a lot of Marvel options.
So a couple of years ago, there was this game, like it was, I think, MMORPG, a DC game that you can go and create your own superhero. Did you play it by any chance?
No, I've been avoiding a lot of modern superhero stuff because I don't want to be influenced and then accused of stealing. So generally I keep a pretty healthy distance. Anything that I want to reference tends to be rather old as a result.
But you might want to try this one. I don't think that it qualifies as Otome game. I think you're gonna enjoy the superhero abilities and stuff like that. You can fly in the game. You can do a lot of flying.
I don't think any of my superhero inspirations qualify as Otome either.
Yeah. So nobody can actually accuse you of stealing because it's an interesting
that's
concept.
True, I suppose.
And no one can blame you for using tropes that are common to the genre. That's just expected, to be honest.
Although one thing I try to do is, if I notice I'm using a trope, I do try to invert it or lampshade it in some way, just to keep it fresh and have it feel like mine. It's very important for this game to be mine.
Kind of like how everyone knew who Warden's identity was.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that came to mind when you said lampshading it.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with that. I didn't plan it, but I was pretty happy with it.
So getting back to the game, I want to ask you, the protagonist isn't some like shining paragon. Actually, she's kind of broke, underpowered, and increasingly overwhelmed during the game. So how did you approach building a character who starts off scraping rock bottom?
Bit of inspiration from life, so to speak. I was never quite broke, but I've struggled a lot with feeling overwhelmed, and there was a period of time where I was unemployed and I couldn't really get a call back despite like sending out 1 million job applications, and that's something that a lot of people do resonate with. So in designing the main character, I felt pretty okay about having it be like the her situation to sort of reflect modern life struggles, and in a sort of easy way to get the player to empathize with her.
I think that's also the reason why people relate with Spider-Man so much, at least it's his early appearances, because he's also just poor and trying to survive and kind of a street level hero.
It kind of depends on I won't tangent about this too long, but it kind of depends on the addition of Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Whether he's broke or not.
I am mostly referring to the earlier depictions of him. And as you were inspired by Batman, the animated series, here in my country, back when I was a kid, they used to play the Spider-Man cartoon constantly.
Yeah, actually they did have Spider-Man in my country too. But going back to what you said about how Spider-Man combats more street-level crime, that's also something that I'm really interested in depicting, because you can't really... Herotome is going to be a pretty long game. I can't start off with world-ending stuff.
Yes.
I got to start pretty small and then ramp up over time.
You never start with the world-ending stuff.
No. Well, unless you want to subvert expectations, start at the end and revert back to the beginning, post-apocalyptic stuff. But that's not what I'm going for.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that I resonated a lot with the protagonist in the game. Because I had a period in my life when I was struggling paying my rent and had to work whatever job I could find so I could survive. So I felt represented there. Like, at that point, I wanted to have superhero abilities, but I didn't, so I worked in a bar. But honestly, working in a bar gives you some kind of a superhero abilities because it teaches you how to speak to people, how to talk to them, and how to actually manipulate them so they can give you a tip in the end, because you're surviving on tips.
Charisma.
Yes,
charisma is a superpower.
Charisma points are like very strong there. And again, on the protagonist topic, I just wanted to mention that I loved the filling up of the CV in the beginning. I think this was a smart way to prompt character customization. Like, it felt immersive, and it's a nice addition, and very, very nice idea here.
Thank you very much. I actually struggled with that at first because I couldn't think of a way to make it look visually interesting, because a CV is like a blank piece of paper for the most part, just white with a picture in the corner. But that is one thing I did hire out for the UI, is an artist called Alice, and she was able to design something that looked really nice, and I think that really helped that element of the game shine.
You did a great job, honestly. The design is very good, and also I'm reminded of getting a job whenever I'm feeling it. So let's talk mechanics. You've got 180 plus branching dialogue options just in the demo. What can you tell us about the reactive storytelling in the world building, and how the dialogue, the choices themselves shape the world around the character?
Oh, I don't think they do. I think it's almost kind of a smokescreen. Like, I have ideas already, and then I manipulatively write the dialogue choices in a way where the player can uncover things I already planned.
Oh, I see. As it says, smoke and mirrors a bit.
Yes, there's a bit of that in game development. Well, in my style of it.
In all styles, honestly.
Yeah, you think so?
We've both worked in game development with Lover's Lens, and we know just how much you gotta make the player feel the things are bigger than they actually are.
And getting back to the choices, the choices in Herotome aren't just for the show. You can flirt, sabotage, or emotionally destroy your team if you want. How do you balance humor and emotional depth without making things feel too chaotic?
Really try to balance humor. I think my approach to humor might be a little different from what I've seen other people express their manner of humor, which is humor for me, like, I'll just throw it on the floor and move on. Like, if the player thinks it's funny, that's great. If they don't, I've already moved on. There's no time to dwell on it. So I don't have to balance it at all. It's just there whenever. As for emotional depth, that's something that I just try to seize every single opportunity that I can. But if it doesn't feel like a good moment for it in the story, that's when it's just like really short, just like a hint of it, and then I rip it away to move on with the story.
It's quite interesting. I wouldn't say that the humor is not balanced, by the way. I felt like it was very subtle.
I guess I mean that I don't have to actively put emotional labor into balancing it. If the outcome is that it's balanced, that's great. I'm happy.
So you just go with the flow, and if it works, it works.
Yeah, for this part, for emotional depth and humor in particular. And that's what playtesting is good for, too. Because if someone says, hey, like, this part doesn't feel impactful enough, I can go, okay, and I'll rewrite it. Or, like, I'll add some stuff to it to help it make more sense and flow a little better.
Okay, speaking of the choices, you also have two difficulty modes, casual and heroic, in the game, depending on how hard you want players to flirting to be for the players. What would you say is the default experience of the two?
About that, I put up a poll online asking players which they would prefer, because I was only going to do one of them.
Oh.
And almost unanimously they said we want a toggle. So it's a toggle. There's no default one, really. It's just whether or not you want to foresee the potential consequence, or if you prefer to be surprised and view it more as like a spoiler experience to know what the outcome would be.
Honestly, for me, I think the heroic one feels more like the default, because that way it forces you to kind of feel the characters better. No, that's not the word. Understand them better. Like, try to guess what would they like for you to say at this moment.
It takes more foresight. But also I do like playing with that expectation a bit. Like, if the player is always choosing what they think the character wants them to hear, that might not always, well, it's not always expected of them, because I do try to have choices that are not at all punishing, where the player can just express themselves instead of just asking about the love interest all the time.
Yeah, as you said, you have multiple choices each time you get to choose the dialogue, at least 3. While we're on the topic of the characters, let's talk about the team itself. Your fellow heroes and potential love interests. There's Warden, Mia, Griffin, Jade, and Dart. They're all quite unique, honestly, with their own interesting personalities. How did you go about writing the team and the dynamic between them?
They're all based on me. That's the plot twist. They're all different parts of my personality. I just divide them evenly.
Oh.
Yeah, all of them.
So you're quite an interesting person, I would say.
Thank you. I do exaggerate each of my traits in order to make it form into a more fully fledged character. So I'm not exactly like them, but they're all a little bit like me in some way.
I guess this is what write what you know means.
But yeah. That's how I make sure I write what I know. I only write what I know, and then I just exaggerate it.
I want to get a little bit in depth of the characters. Let's start with the golden boy. So, Warden, he's serious, caring, a bit troubled. Can you give us a bit of backstory there?
Let's see. What can I say that's not just telling you his actual backstory that's going to be revealed in the game? Okay, how about this? He, at one point, did want and compete for the position of leadership, and he lost. Now, he received the position unexpectedly in a way that he feels he doesn't entirely deserve. And a lot of his internal conflict comes from that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I wonder, did he lose to Dart by any chance?
No.
No, I think I know who it was. I don't know if it's a spoiler to ask, but was it Gemini?
Yes.
Okay, I guessed it right.
Yeah, she was the previous leader, so I don't think it's too much of a spoiler. It's a bit of subtle world building rather than a spoiler, because when you have your interview with Warden, you follow him through a hallway, you go into a room, and he takes you to his quote-unquote his office, and it's just full of Gemini merchandise.
It's not his office.
It's not, yeah, it doesn't feel like his office, does it? So, it's in the game, and it's still pretty early on. It's just a bit subtle. If you're kind of just clicking through, you're not really paying attention, you might not catch it. So, good catch.
Thank you.
I have ADHD.
That's okay.
Sorry, I didn't catch it.
I am making this game to accommodate people like you, people like everybody. I will repeat information in different ways just to have it.
Yes. I love that.
You don't need to be an investigator to figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. I sometimes find myself just thinking about something random while playing a game and then coming back what did they just said? Let me go back.
I'm very conscious of that. I don't expect people to fully remember every single line that I write, especially since a good chunk of it is missable. So what I do actually, one trick I have is with the dialogue choices, you get your array of 5, and one of those choices will just be a reminder of information that you were supposed to have learned. MC will just say, oh, this and this and this, right? So you don't have to remember it. The MC will remember it for you.
I notice. It's quite nice.
You notice my trick.
So, yeah, and I love it, definitely.
I'm glad.
I wanted to ask another question about Warden.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, what are his dynamics with the protagonist? They start, they get to know each other in a funny way, and then they woke up a good amount of time in a hallway, and they chat a little bit, and I felt it a little bit awkward in the beginning.
Well, he's extremely awkward. He's an awkward man.
But very handsome one.
Thank you. That's the trouble with him, isn't it? He's extremely awkward, but handsome. So you try to flirt with him to break the ice, and then he, absolutely withdraws and puts his walls up. That's how he is.
Quite a interesting dynamic, honestly.
Troublesome man. To answer the question, though, his dynamic with the main character, I've spoken about this pretty publicly on my Tumblr, so I personally don't consider it to be a spoiler. But basically, from the moment that he first saw the protagonist, and she was either saving a dog or fixing a creepy woman's arm, one of those two, those are rather heroic. He sees this, and he has intense admiration and maybe even a crush on the protagonist at the very first sight. So much so that he wants to offer her a job. But then once he doesn't quite think ahead, he offers her the job, and then he's like, "Oh, that makes it a complicated work dynamic." What's the word? Power imbalance. Now there's a power imbalance, and it's awkward. But I don't want to take away this job that I'm giving her to help her, that I also do think she deserves, and also I feel unworthy of her. So that just comes out in extreme awkwardness and rejecting all of the protagonist's flirting. But in the upcoming scenes that I'm writing for him right now, actually, I am trying to help him forget some of his awkwardness, so you can see a little bit more of him when he's decently in a good mood.
So is he like crushing random girls on the street all the time, or our main character is special?
Main character special, of course.
Yes. Nice.
Of course.
But I have to ask, I'm sorry.
Can I tell you something really quick, though? It's very funny the way you worded that about crushing on random girls on the street. That's what Dart thinks is happening.
Yeah, that's why I asked actually, because he told me somewhere in the demo, like, he's recruiting people from the street. And I was a little bit confused there.
Next question. So we have Mia, she's desk-bound and not very big fan of the MC. I'm quite curious about her. How does your relationship with her potentially evolve throughout the game, considering it starts a bit like an enemy scenario?
Yes. She's definitely intended to be a sort of mean girl rival type character. It's how she's trying to be. It's what she aims to be. But deep down, she's not really that person at all. And you can either help her peel away that facade to be more her true self, or you can encourage her to hate your guts. But in her own route, there's only so much that she can act out.
Okay, so she's trying to play into the trope of a mean girl on purpose, because she doesn't like you at first.
Yes. One character I realized that Mia is really similar to, actually, is, are you familiar with Hey Arnold?
Yeah. Oh, I
Helga?
haven't watched it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to take a lot of inspiration from Helga nowadays while writing her.
Oh, that's great.
So moving back to the characters, we have Dart as well in the game, and I felt like he was a total douchebag when he talked to me in game, and I felt like I wanted to talk back to him all the time, but he didn't really like my responses at all. And no matter that he was extremely rude, I felt like he carries a lovely personality under that helmet of his. And honestly, he's quite attractive as well. So can you please tell me what his problem is and why he underestimates the MC that much?
Yes. As we did allude to previously, he does sincerely think Warden recruits people from the street. He really feels that he earned his place in the agency, and it wasn't just handed to him. And he also has some reasons related to his backstory that makes him very suspicious of people that he doesn't know. I was going to say strangers. The protagonist is essentially a stranger, but even if you get to know him like a little bit, he won't be quite nice until he's used to you. He's a cat. This is a revelation that I had sometime last year or so. He's a cat.
Honestly,
he doesn't trust easily.
He feels a bit like the Batman equivalent to the superhero group.
That's very flattering for him. He's not quite there yet, but maybe someday.
Maybe someday, but with his suspicion and mistrust, definitely gives off similar vibes.
Kind of a stranger danger situation. And
oh, yes.
My favorite.
One day he'll have contingency plans to kill everybody else. No, not really.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, he secretly he loves a lot of the people there with all his heart. He's a total sweetheart, but you don't get to see that.
He doesn't show it.
Maybe he will.
Maybe. Okay.
Someday.
Maybe that's why I was so attracted to him, because he's like very unpredictable and very rude. And like, how could you? Come on, I'm so kind to you. Why you have to be such an asshole?
That's another thing too, is that if I did make all of the love interests nice, that's not very exciting. Yeah. As long as some of them are nice, you appreciate the nice ones, and then you get motivated by spite for the mean ones. It's all by design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Though speaking about the nice ones, let's move on to Jade. She feels like someone you look up to and are worried about disappointing. Tell us more about her and her route if you choose to flirt with her.
What was that last part? I'm sorry.
To tell us more about her and her route if you choose to flirt with her.
Her if you flirt. Well, I think she feels an affinity for the protagonist character, that maybe you're coming from a similar place, like you're currently having a similar beginning to what she had. And this may or may not be true. She might be projecting onto the protagonist character, but whether or not this is true will be worth exploring, and she may have interesting things to reveal as you reveal more about yourself.
So the more you share about with her, the more she shares with you.
Maybe not right away.
Not bad. Honestly, I felt bad at first because I tried helping her with the bird and failed miserably.
Same.
Really?
Yep. Oh my god, I'm not making a first good impression at all.
Honestly, I found her very cute and very caring, and like a person who actually wants to make an impression on me for once. Like after meeting Dart, he was like a breath of fresh air, you know? And
one after the other, too.
One after the other, yes.
Yeah. So I was quite interested in her personality and wanted to like win her over on my side, because I felt we can be friends, or maybe a little bit more even.
I'm happy to hear that. Honestly, while writing Jade, I was really worried. I thought people would find her boring, but people have really taken to her, so it's been a big relief for me.
That's great.
I have this little comment here. I don't know if you believe in zodiac signs and stuff like that, but I believe that she's Pisces.
Yes.
Is she? Am I right?
I don't remember their birthdays. But from what I remember from zodiac signs, I think Pisces does suit her, especially since I believe Pisces are kind of a bit of a sadder, more contemplative zodiac sign. Plus there's the fish theme, and she does have a thing for water and swimming. You don't get to see that yet, but maybe someday.
I just felt like it because she does have this sad aura around her, and usually Pisces people, they're very disappointed that the world is not the way they expected it. So they live in their own world, and when they see what's actually going on around them, they're like, "Oh, come on, it's not how it's supposed to be. I want it that way, and it's not that way, and I'm sad about it right now. I can't do anything about it, so I'm just gonna zone out in the end."
Sort of an emo poetry mindset.
Yeah.
Gonna go to my room and write poetry and listen to goth music.
And look through the window and sip tea, you know?
Pretend I'm in a music video watching the rain fall the window.
Yeah. So I think we talked about Jade a lot, and we need to move on Griffin. He's the kind of character where the more time you spend with him, the more layers he peel back. that's how it feels. Is it like that?
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, what can players expect if they stick with him in the game?
Boy. You can expect, I was gonna say good communication, but that's not quite true. Griffin does a lot of lying by omission. Griffin does leave out information rather conveniently sometimes, but Griffin usually has a good reason and is trying to manage expectations much like I do. I tend to have managing expectations in my mind pretty often. But Griffin has some secrets that she is very eager to share with the protagonist character, but it's still pretty early on in their relationship, so it doesn't seem that smart to just like tell the protagonist everything, even though he is interested in doing so. So I think the players can expect someone who is very interested in moving the relationship forward in order to reach a better realm of communication, because you have to get to know someone a little better before you get to the point of open communication.
So can we say that he's a yes man or woman?
I don't get that vibes from him, honestly.
I mean,
she can be.
Yeah.
She can encompass that, yes, but she's not beholden to it. And she, you see pretty early on in the part I'm writing, actually, you will see Griffin stand up for his beliefs against your landlord.
Oh.
That'll be coming up.
I was gonna say, Griffin feels like someone who's very emotionally mature, I think, or aware of their own emotions. That's the best way. That's how I felt them, to be honest, when talking to them, especially when I was getting questioned.
Emotionally available, emotionally mature.
Yes.
That's how we are in our 30s.
Okay, just a few more years to go then.
Yeah.
Does magically happen when you hit 30?
Like, is it
I don't know about magically. Not for me. For me, it's just like in my late 20s, I started thinking, this is how I can be better. And I spent some time reflecting and trying to grow as a person in my late 20s. And that's why I'm so chill in my 30s.
I see. And that's
so you
reflected
become the
in
best version of yourself in the end, huh?
Yeah, I could be better.
No, that's
I could
true.
still be the best yet.
That's true for everyone. We can always be better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every day if you make the effort.
Best so far.
Yeah, it's the best so far. Like, you did everything you can, so you can be the best version of yourself. That's what I live with. This is my mantra.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, but I do think that one should also be patient and forgiving with oneself when you have off days or, you can't be your best every single day. But if you do your best most days, that's enough.
I think that's all of the characters. We can move on to the art and visuals and customization. So the art is very vibrant and animated. You can see the characters emote, flinch, pout, all in real time. Tell us about your process and how big was the art workload in the game?
The art workload is a Sisyphean mountain. It's never-ending boulder.
I was expecting a similar answer.
I push and I push that boulder. Art is important to me. I went to art school. And like I said, I watched animation growing up, Batman the Animated Series among them. But also I was very invested in Disney at the time, as most kids are. But I took a particular liking to 2D animation and started wanting to draw myself. And something that always stuck with me was expressiveness and having characters emote not just clearly, but in a way that's almost unique to them, or at least to their personality type. Someone who's happy might express it in a different way than their friend who's more reserved or more openly happy. And that's something that I'm very interested in capturing and pursuing in Herotome.
I've also noticed when you mentioned that about animation, it's always more exaggerated than if you watch a movie, for instance, because the medium allows for it. And I do think you did a great job with that in Herotome. Most of the time I can tell kind of what a person is thinking by looking at them. I can tell that Warden is constantly thinking.
I always have their eyes shifting around.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the animation and the sprites actually made the characters feel more fleshed out, to me at least. So your Sisyphean boulder that you're pushing every day so you can achieve this, it's worth it in the end. Definitely.
Maybe I get over the mountain sometimes, and there's just many mountains.
Yeah, it's just always the next one.
They will end eventually.
Yeah, when Wudge manages to finish the game, I guess.
Yeah, I'm either going to finish the game or I'm going to die first, one or the other.
Don't worry, you're going to finish it. I'm sure.
Certainly hope so.
It's a great project, so it's worth your time and effort.
I agree with that.
We already mentioned the character creation in the beginning. My experience with it was very nice. I felt like it was quite customizable. You can even upload your own avatar, and your character actually argues with the player if you make her do something dumb. I wanted to ask you, why did you decide to break the fourth wall in the game?
There are moments where I will briefly break the fourth wall just to be cheeky. That's just me talking to the player directly. But in the context of the game, the protagonist character isn't necessarily breaking the fourth wall. The protagonist character is responding to her immediate instinctive reaction before acting on it. So it's more like the player is playing as the inner voice who generally the protagonist will just go along with whatever the inner voice says because it is an immediate instinctive reaction. And the protagonist will say it out loud. And sometimes the protagonist will be like, I should not have said that. That was a stupid thing to say. Now I'm in trouble. Why did I say that? And I think this is a phenomenon that does happen to, I would say, most everybody.
Yeah. It happens in real life all the time. It's when your inner demons win out.
Yes, that's what it is. You get to play as the inner demons.
You get to play as the inner demons.
I just remembered my first ever choice-based system that I actually encountered. It was this Netflix episode of Bandersnatch. It's like a Black Mirror episode. Have you played it?
They have like a similar approach there. Much. Yeah.
Man, it left a scar on me, honestly.
I think they take it in a much darker direction.
Yes, but they had a similar approach there with the inner demons and the player being the puppeteer in the head of the main character, you know. It's still breaking the fourth wall, but not really. Like, not in a direct way.
Leaning maybe on the fourth wall.
Yeah. The character realizing that he's not alone in his head, basically.
I will name another Otome game, actually, that does something rather similar. It's called Cupid. Have you guys heard of it?
I don't think I have.
Sure, yeah.
Cupid arguably might be more of a horror visual novel than an Otome anyway. But the premise of Cupid is you play as a young girl. Well, let me rephrase. The main character is a young girl. and you play as the voice of her dead abusive mother in her head.
Oh, great.
And you can be abusive or you can be a little less abusive in order to just kind of coax her along and give her some quote-unquote guidance in her life. And I think I get a lot of inspiration from that game, Cupid.
We should try it. Morek, it
Yes,
sounds
now
It's
exciting.
very
there is.
good.
Yes.
It's not that long either.
Sounds like a very interesting concept. I want to try it now. I do love horror and
And also, in that direction, Stanley's Parable as well.
Yeah.
somewhat
Same
similar in the breaking the fourth wall aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Stanley's Parable shatters the fourth wall. There is
no fourth wall. There is no wall at all.
It's quite... Take a sledgehammer to the fourth wall.
But to get back to your game, so you're offering just in the demo 50,000 words of content. That's a lot. What should players expect from you in the future?
More.
More of everything.
More of everything. I've been doing more animations lately. Not like full screen CG animations, but little touches like fading the color of the background behind a character, zooming in on a CG. A character's head turns at one point after having their back turned to you, they'll turn around. And I'm working more with expressions. Expressions are a form of animation, I tell myself. Let's see. More words, more expressions. What else? More choices, more branching, and a phone mechanic where you can also make choices.
Mechanic?
Yes, I have a...
You'll be able to chat with them?
Yeah.
Nice. And what's the total word count that you're aiming for in the full game?
Infinity.
Or is it just a lot, infinity?
Like I said, this is my scope creep pet project, so I'm not really limiting it per se until someone forces me to.
Have you thought about making like not DLC, like episodic? For example, you have like a first episode of the story and then releasing more and more like DLCs to the main story. Is it
sort of what I'm going to do now for the common route, so to speak. And when I reach the end of the common route, I'll have to decide what I want to do. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to handle the actual individual character routes. But for now, for the common route, I'm going to just keep releasing them episodically, even though I haven't been calling them episodes.
And about your community, so we noticed that you have a lot of comments on your itch.io page. And it feels like you've managed to build a very engaged community already. What has surprised or delighted you most about the fan response?
That it exists. When I released the super demo, I try to keep my expectations pretty low, so I would have been sad if nobody played it, but I wouldn't have been too surprised. But a decent amount of people did play it, and I think more people played it after I submitted the game to the, what's it called? The Queer Games. I'm sorry, give me a moment. I want to make sure I get the name right because they're doing it again this year. The Queer Games bundle on itch.io. I seem to get more exposure after taking part in that bundle. I lost where my train of thought was. What was the question again about my fandom? What has delighted me?
Yeah, like, can you think about one comment or input that made you laugh, for example, or surprised you?
Boy, that made me laugh. I'm ashamed to admit it's been a while since I've read them. It's been a while since I've looked through them because I keep my head down because I want to focus on working and making the next part. But most often I will read the asks I get on Tumblr and I'll respond to those. Recent comment that made me laugh. I guess it wasn't too recent, but I had a question about how the love interest would react to a protagonist who ate moth.
What?
And yeah, I really like the off-the-wall remarks. I feel like they're matching my energy level. And in a way, it feels like I'm finding kindred spirits and like-minded people, like-minded minds. And that's really rewarding for me, is having my game out there so that people who do have these weird internal thoughts and inner demons think, oh, there's someone out there who's kind of like me. And when they leave a comment, I get to feel the same way. There's someone out there that's kind of like me.
That's cute. It's very cute and very beautiful. Like, I believe that you have a great community, and I'm sorry that I caught you off guard with that question.
That's okay. I am very grateful for the community. It's just, when I'm working on the game, it's hard to think of specific community stuff. I try to keep community management one of my lower priority tasks in favor of actual development. But I do try to give it attention when I have time.
Yeah, I can see how managing a community can be hard when you're already doing all of this by yourself. Like, when do you even have the time? But speaking of the community, people are already asking about custom avatars, translation support, mobile ports. What's realistically next on your roadmap?
Realistically next on my roadmap is the next episode.
Okay.
There's some interest in, like, very late stage roadmap stuff, and I am flattered by the interest in that stuff, but also, like, I don't have time to make a mobile port right now. But if/when the game is done, and I may be very interested. And if I win the lottery and I have $1 million, I might pay somebody else to do it. But the thing is, I would want them to do it well. I don't want to just send the game off and then, like, close my eyes. I don't know what's going to happen. I would have to, like, do actual research to make sure that it's done properly and represents the full game well.
I just want to say that to win the lottery, you first have to buy a lottery ticket. So
Yeah.
you go buy a lottery ticket.
I have to go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, the lottery is a goofy shorthand. I could also run a crowdfunding. I just would. I'm not quite ready for that yet. Crowdfunding in itself is a lot of work and a lot of community management. But at some point, I am interested in going through with that when the project is, when I feel at its most presentable state.
Do you have a Patreon?
I do not. I have a Ko-fi.
Okay, but it's a similar thing. I mean, like, if people want to support you, you should have a platform where people can actually...
Yeah. Right now, I don't like feeling like I'm depending on other people so much, which is why I still have a day job for funds. But one of these days, maybe I'll do a Patreon. I would have to do a lot more community management, though, so I might also have to hire somebody to help with that.
Wudge, I wish you all the best. I hope that at some point you start working only on what you love doing and you won't need a day job. And I
kind of love my day job too, though.
Oh, come on.
Keep your day job then.
I like having... Yes.
You do like great stuff. It's very high quality, your project, and I just want you to have more time so you can finish it. That's it. I'm sorry.
I really appreciate the sentiment. I think I just need to hire good people. More good people. I already have a few.
I see. So let's get back to the game. I have one more question there. I saw that she planned voice acting for the full release. How's it going?
Full release. Crowdfunding.
Full release.
How's it going? At the moment, it's not really going, But on my YouTube page and on the itch.io page, you will see some previews of what voice acting could look like. I've worked with a few people and I coded in all the lines, cut them myself as necessary. And I really liked what we did, but it is quite a time investment, I learned. So yet another thing where I have to finish the game itself first, unless I hire like a game voice acting company that's happy to work with me within my budget.
And one more question about the game. Do you know when the full release will come out? Or is it
like an
quite
estimate?
a distant... An estimate, yeah.
An estimate.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, isn't it? I don't like making promises. I don't like making estimates, even for you guys. I think you guys are wonderful. Unfortunately, I don't do the estimates, but I do weekly reports of my development work on my Tumblr. And that seems to keep people pretty sated that the game's development is consistently going every single week.
Yeah. Okay, we had just to try,
See if we can get something.
Gotta try.
Yeah. So we're moving to the exclusive content part. It's my favorite. We are going to comment on the tons of stuff you send us. I'm excited. What should we start with?
Oh boy.
Is it like I'm gonna start with the early concepts?
Chronological is a good way to go.
Yeah. So we can see Jade here.
Yes.
Is this the first concept that you made?
That's one of my later ones. It's actually rather nicer. You'll see some rougher artwork later. No, this is closer to when I actually started developing this most recent edition of the game, where it is a lot more polished. It has all the new UI and stuff. And this was a mood piece for Jade where I wanted to capture her mood. She's feeling very Pisces here. If only the background were blue instead of red, right? There's also one of Warden from around the same time period. This is when I moved to digital art. I actually bought a tablet towards the beginning of development, and that's helped a lot. Before that point, you will see I was drawing on notebook paper.
Okay. So is this notebook?
That one's a sketchbook, a proper sketchbook. I actually took the time with that one. That's another concept piece of Jade from a different mood. I was trying to kind of capture her personality for myself at those points, I think.
She has very Wonder Woman vibes on this.
That's a big compliment. She'll think that Wonder Woman is very hot.
Warwick, you wanted to say something, but I interrupted.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was your transition from pen and paper to tablet difficult?
It was a bit, yes. I struggled for a while with my line work. I couldn't get it quite right for a long time because I had drawn traditionally for many years, and moving to digital, it just didn't look like my hand drawings. But I've since gotten a lot of practice, and I think I'm much closer to my hand art skills. And in fact, I think my traditional art skills are devolving.
Yeah.
Such is life.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
There's Jade again.
Now we have a sketch again.
Oh,
what?
Actually,
This
is one of the
doodle.
This is one of the first concepts for Jade, right here.
He's a little doodle in a
Yes.
notebook.
One of the very first Jades. You can see she doesn't even have the outfit yet. She's got some pumpkin shorts.
Yeah.
Just noticed.
The structure of her outfit was here, but I didn't have the color scheme or the top part really nailed down just yet.
But you knew that she would have green hair, long green hair
All
from
along,
the beginning.
long green hair, middle part.
I very much like her design. And
Okay,
going
this
on
one
here?
came a little after the previous ones. Mhm. That's the middle sash from her design right now. It's just very narrow. Yeah, I was designing her outfit more properly at this point. It's still quite rough. I was still drawing on notebook paper. And apparently I thought about giving her a helmet, according to my handwritten note there.
Yeah,
And
helmet question mark?
I based her off of Mystique. That's right, I did. She has
Oh, I
some
can
Mystique inspiration.
kind of see some design features that are similar.
I'm glad
You'll
that you
see.
didn't put helmet on her head.
Yeah.
Like Dart is enough.
Yeah, and there's Dart. Speak of
Speak of
the
devil.
man. I didn't want to call him a devil.
But that's how the
Yeah.
saying goes.
That is how the saying goes. I felt bad. You'll notice I have a guilty conscience easily. Yeah, but this is when I was getting really close to his final design, and I scratched out his tattoo because I didn't know what I wanted to do with it at the time. But I actually flipped it. I see. Okay, so in the original, he had his short sleeve to show off his tattoo, but now he has a long sleeve to hide his tattoo, and he shows off his bare arm.
Oh.
He decided to be a more private man.
Two
The
question
color.
mark?
Yeah, here's some
Workout.
casual clothes sketches. My most productive concepts were, in fact, these tiny little doodles that really helped solidify them more in my mind before I moved on to like larger costume design or actually designing their face.
Oh, yeah, like concept arts.
Oh,
Faces. Yeah.
this is tracing paper. I had a phase where I was drawing the sprites, or what were going to be the final sprites, on tracing paper, and I would draw the different expressions, and I was planning to make them digital, but eventually I started over again because the art wasn't quite at a level that I was happy with yet. And I'm glad I did start over as many times as it did, even though it was very Sisyphean. Yeah, the art looks nice now because I kept trying again and again.
What I'm looking at actually looks nice as well. This is Mia, right?
Thank you, yes.
And I think that this tracing paper thing is actually very, very smart because you can just like move the faces and
Thank
see
you.
what actually fits the character. So it's
That
quite
is what I
interesting.
did.
And we have more Mia here. Again, a little doodle in a notebook.
Doodle doodle.
Okay,
that
Warden
is
changed a lot.
All Warden. I was still finding my style.
He looks
Color
very
scheme is the
skinny
same,
here.
it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really know how to draw bigger guys. He still has a pretty skinny waist, but he got much wider in the shoulders. The upper left one, I remember, is when I felt happier with how he looked and went more in that direction. And the little doodle of his hero outfit is apparently so powerful. That's the final outfit.
Yeah,
No notes.
it's the same.
It's a very, very early doodle, but it was just there to stay.
Stuck.
Well, this is... that's why I love concept arts that much, because you can see the actual journey there.
You can
This is
see
like-
what lives and what dies.
Yeah. This is like a closer look.
Yeah.
Is this Warden
That's
again?
from my tracing paper days. Yes.
Okay, he
looks
changed a lot
different.
in his face, definitely.
Costume's still the
Yeah.
same though. It's
Yeah.
You
Yes,
really
the
did keep
costume
it.
is strong. But not this one. There was an earlier draft where when Warden comes to get you for your interview, if you remember in the actual game, he shows up wearing his sports clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But in the very early draft, he was disguised as a security guard for some reason. And I don't know why. Why would he need to be disguised? You already know who he is. It was silly.
I would
I got
say
rid of
that-
that idea.
I would say that he looks like a delivery guy. With this
Oh.
outfit, like...
That's
trying
quite
to say
generous.
You're trying
I
to
think
say
he looks like
pizza.
a janitor.
Really?
Oh, I mean, give him a mop. I see
Yeah,
it.
it could work. It could work. And we see
It's one of
him
my
digitally.
nicer. Yes, he's moved on to digital, and he's a lot more like himself there.
Mm-hmm. Is he taking a selfie here? What's going on?
I'm supposed to be checking his messages from MC, but it's really funny to me that he'd be taking a selfie.
Yeah, just look at the serious face. Like, I just imagine him thinking, like, do I look okay? Is this the right angle?
Putting it on his Tinder profile.
Yeah. Is
That's
this
him
digital
again.
as well?
Yes, it's digital. It's when I was still trying to figure out line work. I wasn't quite there yet.
And
Logo.
logo.
Early logo.
I see there are a few
Oof.
variations. Deciding on a color, I see.
I went with none of them. They weren't very good.
What is this? Is this a color palette here, like the stars?
Yeah. I didn't go with any of those either. And ultimately, I went with red and gold.
I kind of like this one though.
It's good for a little symbol, yes.
Yeah.
Not great for a logo though. That's Griffin.
Okay, he changed
One
a lot
of-
as well.
You think so?
I
Yeah.
bet
I think
it
he
does.
looks similar.
He's still similar. I think just the facial structure is slightly different now.
Okay. I'm not
Yes.
an artist. I'm sorry.
If you do have an eye for art, you may notice that like a lot of my early hand-drawn sketches and concepts, they had a very similar face to each other. And a lot of the facial variety came as I worked on the art more.
That's what I meant by he changed a lot. Like the hair is there.
Yeah.
The
Looks
hair-
different
the
from
hair is
everybody
the same.
else.
Yeah,
But the
That's
eyes...
also Griffin.
Okay, now the hair is not the...
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, the hair's a bit different there. But the mood with the little smile in the corner, that's the
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just thinking about this smile. This is the vibe I get from Griffin.
early concept art for the chat room.
You
You'll see the
sketched it
chat
out
room
as well.
later. Yes, I sketched
Okay.
it out. I put everything on paper.
Wow, that's a lot of time and effort. Crazy.
I didn't know how to
Yes.
code, so I had to plan out. This was the concept art for the choice box UI. The artist I worked with, Alice, she had only done one version for the idle choice box, but when you put your mouse over it now in the super demo, you'll notice it actually lights up. I wanted it to light up and like have a little symbol in the corner to indicate that, okay, this is the one that you're hovering over and thinking about. So these were my designs for that before actually implementing it. I thought about making it green. I think it looks nicer right now. It's it's got a glow on it to indicate which one it is. And you can see I was testing out different opacities to see what would look best with the text, font, outline, color, and all that.
And also different shapes I can see here.
The different shapes are there no matter what. In the final game, each dialogue choice box has a sort
A
of
different-
irregular shape.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
And
time
we
he
see an
visits.
early CG.
that's the CG. Yeah, I feel like I wasted my time with this one. That's a little mean towards myself, but gosh, Rem did a really good job. I don't know why I had to make I guess I didn't feel confident about expressing what I wanted in the CG with words, so I drew this up and
It's
sent it to
always
Rem, and Rem
nice.
did great.
It's always
Thank
nice
you.
to have like not a concept. Morik, help me out.
I know what you're trying to say.
Reference.
Reference.
I'm trying. Yeah,
Yes,
so
visual
I don't
reference,
think-
yes.
I don't think you lost your time, and it looks like him. It has the same
Thank
vibe,
you.
so it's quite nice. Oh, it's the
clammy
clam lady.
The clam lady.
Clam lady.
she,
Sorry.
That's okay. Clammy
Okay.
lady. It's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah, it
this
is.
was actually a bit of a rare artwork, actually. It's from the public version of the game before the super demo that, I remember when I released that, maybe 2020 or something? very few people played it, but they left such nice, long comments, even though my art looked like this. It was black and white, and just my line work wasn't all there yet. The UI was just basic package. It really looked nothing like the way Herotome looks now, and I think it's thanks to those early people who came in and played a game from when I was like a no-name developer. I didn't have any experience really, but they played it and they left really nice comments that really encouraged me to keep going.
It's beautiful.
This is why positive feedback is important.
Especially for newer developers who don't really have an audience. Some of them do phenomenal work and just people haven't noticed yet. But if you sort new every so often and try them out, you might be surprised. I try to share newer developers on my own page when I come across them.
I wanted to say that's why we always encourage people to leave a nice comment or rating or something that can help out the devs. The development process, it actually helps a lot. Okay, so this is Griffin.
Early digital. My art kind of fluctuated in quality. I feel like this was done after the Warden and Jade concept art. I could be wrong, but I feel like the quality wasn't quite as nice. And you can see Griffin's eyes are yellow here. They do change to green.
Looks like green.
Yes.
Is green your favorite color?
Me? No.
But you use it a lot in your characters, like Griffin and Jade.
For Jade and Griffin, those two. But Griffin, I think Griffin has a secret other color that he hasn't revealed yet. And he just kind of wears green to blend in with Jade.
Fun fact about the color green in early comic books. Due to the limitation of the printing press, a lot of characters were either green or purple, especially villains. You'll notice that most of Spider-Man's villains are green or purple as well.
Green
the Joker
Goblin,
as well.
yeah.
Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, the Scorpion.
Okay, that was
I would like
random trivia here, but I loved it.
Well, it's we're talking about superheroes. Of course, I'm gonna share it.
Yeah,
I would like to reassure you guys and anyone listening that Griffin is not evil.
Not evil.
Just throwing that out there. That's not the secret. Griffin is not secretly a supervillain.
Okay.
Thank
you
God.
can theorize if you want. Just don't get in my ass box saying, is Griffin evil?
If his sleeves were purple, then I'd be concerned.
Yeah, that'd be a Joker cosplay. Then Griffin would just be a loser, not a villain.
Yeah.
We have the cat here.
Oh, Katie, yes.
She looks basically the same.
Yeah.
That's not a concept. That's the actual sprite sketch. There was a while where I was sketching the final sprites in my sketchbook.
That's
then I would send them to Rem. Early first attempt at coding the chat room.
Oh. I was wondering.
Tried to do the code from scratch for this.
That's
How
why
did that
it looked
go?
so rough. It did not go well. I got mad. I never get mad at coding anymore. I was mad back then. It was way too complicated for my skill level.
Banana hammock?
Yeah, I was testing the length of the name box to make sure it showed up okay. So I used the longest name I could think of, which is Princess Consuela Banana Hammock from Friends.
I actually wanted to ask you, are you hard coding your animations?
Hard coding.
I mean, like,
animation.
are you doing them traditionally in a specific program or something, or you're coding the animations in the game?
A bit of both. Sometimes it's a still image that I'll move around using code. Like, code can be used to adjust the opacity or change the color. I've been doing a lot of that lately. And other times I am drawing like a few different frames and then having the code cycle through them. Like blinking, for example.
Okay, moving on the other folder you sent us.
Preview of what's to come. The next episode.
Okay,
Here's
look at
Griffin
this outfit.
confronting. Yeah, it's not green anymore, is it? But there is purple. Just a note for anyone listening, Griffin is an ambulatory wheelchair user, which means that she can get up sometimes. And here, Griffin is standing up and having a confrontation with your landlord about his landlord policies, and the landlord is not happy with it. But Griffin may get some good deal for you out of it. You'll have to see.
And she looks amazing while doing it, by the way.
Thank you. Looks amazing. That's the goal, isn't it?
Look at these shorts, come on.
The booty shorts.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, this is a missable scene. If you don't go downstairs in the super demo and heal your landlord, this does not happen.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And we have the chat room now.
Yes. There will be an actual background in the final version, but for now I just use a black screen and some, temporary borders. But the art of the phone itself and the icons, those are final, and it actually works. This isn't just concept art. This is an actual functioning chat room.
Oh, this is I was gonna say this is actually in practice.
Yes, this is in practice. And the chat room scene is pretty substantial. You can skip through a lot of it if you want, because it's a lot of them talking to each other. But for this one, I chose a choice where it says, parentheses, I don't know what to say, or parentheses, I'm embarrassed or something. So the MC will just type out like a word vomit.
You don't want to see me? What's this? Okay. It's cute. I love that. Like, feels like a real human.
I do my best. Real human. That's what I'm going for. You can see Warden's texting style. He doesn't use periods here.
Jade has a
blunt. And there's the icon mentioned very early in the demo where it's just a W.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually noticed that.
First thing I noticed was that Jade has a horse for a...
Yeah.
Okay, we have more chat.
That's Mia. Uses capital all
Never
caps
online.
Randomly. And here Griffin says Warden is like Beetlejuice.
I really like the way Griffin wrote their name.
Yes.
Like, with little special
sparkle.
symbols and sparkles. Yeah, so extra. They're sending memes. Come on.
I have an explanation for it, which is that I'm irrationally worried about copyright, but I figure I can't get in any trouble if I draw my own memes with my finger.
I don't think memes are copyrighted.
Yeah,
I don't think so either. It's like an irrational thing. But it came out cute.
Yeah, it came out very cute, and I find it very funny.
Honestly, it's been bad.
What is
Very
this?
exclusive CG that's coming up.
Wow.
Is this the bad guy?
Yes. He's the bad guy.
I half expected you to say you're not gonna tell us.
Yeah.
It was hanging.
It's pretty obvious, I think.
I was just
The mask,
like
the evil eyes,
fooling around. He looks very nice.
the scheming pose, the dark and purple.
He has a beard, though.
The purple. Does the beard make you good? Or is the beard an evil sign?
I think it's
I don't
neutral.
know. I prefer
Neutral.
bearded man. Like, I find them more attractive. And then I have a question. Is the villain gonna be a love interest as well?
My
or you
artist
won't tell me?
did the most cruel thing and intentionally made him attractive. But he is a married man.
Come on.
I'm sorry to say.
Damn it. Okay.
I could make more bearded men. We'll see.
Okay.
The Warden bearded DLC.
Beard DLC with extra artwork for all of the characters. They all have beards. I can
Even
do it.
Jade. I want to see her
Everybody.
long
Everybody got a
green
beard.
No
beard.
discrimination.
crazy.
There are women who actually have beards. There's a side character, actually, who suffers from PCOS that I plan on having in the game at some point, who is a woman with a beard, just naturally.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So,
But
another
it appears
one.
I'm not the
This
only
is the first
visitor here
version,
tonight.
the reverse order, actually.
Yeah, so it goes like that.
You see, it turns around.
Yes.
It zooms in, yeah.
What's this?
New background. Shiny, bright,
Nice.
colorful. I'm so happy with them. The artist is Vui. One moment, let me make sure I get his name right. Pronunciation might be wrong, but it's Vui Huyn. Vuiynh. Vui, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but he's very talented, and I'm so happy to be working with him.
I can
does
see
look
that.
amazing.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for saying it, like we're talking about the background, but I can't just ignore her dress here.
Yeah, her pajamas.
Very beautiful.
Oh,
Jammies.
those are her pajamas?
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like a real dress.
Do you
not
think
like
it's a
pajamas.
Pisces thing to lounge in your pajamas?
Not
I
sure.
used to do
honestly.
it all the time, but
Universal thing, maybe?
Yeah. And here, it's a training room.
this is the gym background.
Yeah,
The
we get
gem.
to see
so
it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it the same
and
artist?
if you look in the background, yes, this is the same background artist. If you look in the background, you see there's like a smidge of light blue. That's another background that you can go to in the part that's coming up.
Oh, nice.
Just like
That's a really good
Party
detail.
room.
It's an office for someone who's a bit peculiar with their decorating.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my favorite.
That's the background again, but with Dart.
Yeah.
Your favorite? Oh my.
Yeah,
I'm telling him.
Actually, Dart is my favorite character. Like, I was so sad that I couldn't win him over.
Oh, he puts up a front. He'll warm up to you sooner than you think. But then he'll go back to the way he was, unfortunately.
Okay.
Push and pull.
Yeah, not toxic at all. Mm-hmm. And we have Jade here.
Yes. Using her power. So you can see the eyes. I did draw those as separate images, but the background being changed, that's all code.
It's kind of faded, darker.
And here?
And the tunnel. It was just a black background in the super demo.
Yeah.
Oh,
so this is how it looks.
It's actually getting a background as well. That's cool.
I thought that it's very dark, and that's why it's black.
Yeah, I just thought it was a very dark place.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to get away with it at the time, but I needed it for something else, so I commissioned it. And here, you'll be able to see videos on your new phone. The videos don't actually play. There's no animation, but here the protagonist is watching an interview with Gemini, and it gets interrupted by an advertisement. So the interview footage will be swapped to an ad.
You can't escape advertisements even
in
when you're
games, man.
playing a game.
Even in games. But the protagonist does put her phone away right away.
Good.
She's like, I don't want to watch this, and then she just she lets it play out.
I can almost hear it.
Watches the rest of her video.
Like, I can almost hear the ad, like, extra rich and extra moist.
That's a good impression. This is the first of a number of driving CGs. This one features Griffin. Warden is going to have one, and Mia's going to have one. I think we're going to work on Mia's next. But
We're gonna be a
the
passenger
characters
princess.
will drive the MC around. Yeah. They drive the MC around a lot whenever they go on a mission and stuff.
You know, as someone who can't drive, I appreciate that.
Oh,
I'm straight up scared of driving.
yeah.
Same. Like, not for myself, for other people on the road.
Thank you so much for sharing your world with us. Any final words you have for your growing fan base?
Oh, for my growing fan base, gosh. Thank you for being here, for sharing your time with me. I am truly infinitely grateful that you would take the time to see what I have to offer, and hopefully you can take a lot away from it as well, as much or as little as you like, because the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is in part to fill what I feel is a void in Otome gaming and in gaming in general. I'm not sure there's quite a lot of games like mine, but I hope that when you play it, if you have any inclination to be a game developer in your own right, maybe my game could inspire you a little bit in the same way that a lot of games have inspired me.
Thank you for the wise words. And to our listeners, go play the demo, wishlist Herotome, and follow the devlogs on Tumblr and itch.io. And maybe support Wudge on Ko-fi, because they deserve it.
And remember, saving the world is optional, but surviving your teammates, now that's the real challenge.